All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're moving past the simple stuff like code completion and basic chatbots. We're going to talk about a massive shift in how we, as developers, can work with AI. We're talking about AI agents.
You know the feeling, right? If you've used any kind of AI coding tool, it's this constant back and forth. You tell it one little thing, check the code, tell it the next thing. It's useful for sure, but man, it can feel like you're micromanaging a machine.
But what if you could just stop? What if you could just state your goal, your final destination, and let the AI figure out all the steps to get there? Well, you can, and the answer is a concept called AI agents. Okay, so let's really break this down. What in the world is an AI agent, and why is it such a leap forward? The whole game changes when we move from giving tiny instructions to communicating our overall intent.
At its absolute core, it's this simple. An AI agent is just an AI model that's been given a toolbox. These tools let it do things like read files, write new code, or even run terminal commands. And it uses these tools over and over again in a loop, reasoning about what to do next and then acting on it, all to achieve the goal you gave it. This right here is the perfect analogy. The old way is like you're on the phone giving someone turn-by-turn directions. Okay, in 200 feet, take a left. Now go straight for a mile. The new way with agents is like just giving them the address. They plug it into their GPS, and the GPS figures out the entire route, handles detours, and just gets them there.
So that all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like when the rubber hits the road? Let's walk through a totally normal developer task and see how an agent thinks its way through the problem.
So imagine this. You just tell the agent, add a dark mode toggle to my settings page. This is a perfect example, right? Because it's not a single step. It means finding files, maybe writing some CSS, updating a component, but the goal itself is crystal clear. Notice you didn't tell it how to do any of that, just what you want.
So here's what happens inside the agent's brain. First, it kicks off an analysis. It uses a search tool to scan the entire codebase to figure out where the settings page even is. Then it makes its own internal to-do list. After that, it starts executing, using its write code tool. And here's the magic part. After every single step, it verifies its own work. It might run a test or a linter, and if it finds a mistake, it fixes it before moving on. That's the whole tools in a loop idea in action.
So, if the agent can do all of that on its own, what does that mean for you? Well, it fundamentally changes your job. You stop being the person doing all the tiny steps, and you become the director.
I mean, just look at this comparison. The left side is the old way, this tedious, long conversation of questions and commands. The right side, one single high-level goal. You're not the hands on the keyboard anymore, you're the architect who's just describing the vision.
This elevates your role to something more like a tech lead. Think about it. You can spin up multiple agents and delegate different tasks to them at the same time. While one agent is adding tests to your login flow, another one can be updating your documentation. And a third can finally be cleaning up that messy utility file you've been putting off for months. Okay, now it's really easy to get carried away with the hype, so let's pump the brakes for a second. We need to have a very realistic look at where this technology is today. For any senior engineer thinking about using this next part is absolutely crucial.
Right now, agents are amazing at well-defined, repeatable tasks. Things like adding tests to existing code, updating documentation, refactoring. They're brilliant at it. But they really start to struggle with ambiguity. Things like complex system-wide debugging, or trying to create a pixel-perfect UI from a Figma file, or tasks that need real human creativity. That's still our job.
This quote is honestly the perfect way to think about it. An agent is like a brilliant, incredibly fast junior developer. They are super eager to help and can get a ton of work done, but they have no long-term context. So you have to give them really clear instructions, and you definitely have to review their work.
So you've got to be aware of the trade-offs. All of that thinking and self-correction an agent does, well, it costs a lot more in API tokens, which means it costs more money. They can also get stuck in loops, just trying the same broken approach over and over. And if you're not careful, they can get a little too helpful and start changing files you never wanted them to touch. And the big one, at the end of the day, you are still the one responsible for the final code that gets merged.
This really means that working effectively with agents isn't about replacing your old skills. It's about learning a brand new one, the art of effective delegation to an AI.
And let's be absolutely crystal clear about this. This kind of technology is a force multiplier. The goal is to amplify what you can do.
It's designed to free you from the boring, tedious parts of coding so you can focus on the hard stuff, the architecture, the user experience, the truly creative solutions.
So how do you actually get started with this? Simple. Number 1, start small. Give an agent a task you could do yourself in 15 minutes, like writing a simple unit test. For bigger things, break the problem down and tell the agent to check in with you at certain points. And always, always, always review the pull request, just like you would for any human junior developer.
And this brings us to the most exciting part. When you are freed from the tiny details of implementation, when you can truly focus on the high-level vision, the possibilities just explode. You get to be the architect, and you have this tireless, super fast builder ready to execute your plans. So the only real question left is, what will you create?